science fiction and fantasy enthusiasts, and welcome to our podcast. With Ryan Sean O'Reilly, David Wilkinson, and Richard Mell. You're listening to No Deodorant in Outer Space. Now, let's get started.
No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Yes, I love that one.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of No Deodorant in Outer Space. My name is Ryan Sean O'Reilly, and joining me once more is Richard Mell.
Hello, everyone.
Excellent. And also David Wilkinson.
What's up, jerks?
As you might remember from our last episode, Wilk is also being joined by his wife, Laura.
Hey, everyone.
And returning in his triumphant glory from days of yonder, James Adam Rauch, a.k.a. Beam.
How's it going, everybody?
We are doing okay. All right, we are back for the second half of our episode. We were in the first half, we covered The Hellbound Heart, written by Clive Barker, which came out in 1986. This episode, we are covering the movie adaptation, which was also directed by Clive Barker and came out in 1987. That was called Hellraiser. In our last episode, we got to know everyone. Let's just go around the horn and see, does anyone have any initial one-sentence comment about this movie before we kick into things about the production and stuff of it? Rick, let's go to you.
This movie was just like a fetish fest, okay, and that's kind of like it. There you go.
Wilk.
The epitome of practical effects in the 1980s, a must-see for any true horror fan.
All right. Laura, any comment?
Well, Dave's just taking all my ideas and saying them himself. So.
Well, we'll give them to you.
No, yeah. No, I love the practical effects too. It's great. It's a classic.
We're drinking a lot.
Beam, any initial one sentence on your thoughts for the movie?
Yeah, classic horror movie. Fits right into the good old years. I don't know.
All right, good. And I'll say this was a unique monster film fest. I thought the monsters, what Clive Barker created, were just very unique and great for the genre. So, with that, we've already talked about Clive Barker and his kind of background, and he is, of course, the author of The Hellbound Heart, which was the basis for this movie. But Clive Barker also, like I said, directed this movie, which is kind of unique. So we're not going to go back into his biography. You can listen to that in the last episode. But we are going to talk about the production of the movie and the fact that this author did that. But right before we do that, Rick, you're going to open up a bottle of beer for us.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, watch your ass tonight, Rick, these two.
All right, pause it.
It's right there in front of you. Go ahead and open that.
We're going to discuss this though, too. You got the three of you, Ryan, Beam, and Rick, are together tonight, right?
Yes, and we're out in the woods. And so
yeah.
you're probably hearing insect noises and stuff, and we're surrounded by tiki torches and all that.
The woods at Rick's house. But you're going to have a sleepover, right?
It's still the woods. Oh, yeah, it is a sleepover, and we wanted you to be here, but you couldn't.
Well, I could be there. I chose not to be there.
I just want it on the record that it was not me that told him he shouldn't go.
No, she actually said I
That's what he told us.
Yoko Ono.
No, you're not Yoko.
You are Wilk's scapegoat every single time, Laura.
Oh, shit.
Laura, he uses you as a scapegoat every single time.
No.
No, I just want to say for the record that I really thought about going and hanging out with you guys. I do like all of you. It'd be fun to hang out with you, but...
Allegedly.
Historically... No, not allegedly. I like all of you.
Historically?
Whenever Ryan and Beam sleep in the same house as me for the last 10 years, you guys do something god-awful to me. And it's like, I know it's like I have the reputation as being the jerk, I'm the prankster, I'm the one that'll...
Define god-awful.
But really, it's you two. It's like I Am Legend. You're the actual monsters.
So it's like a roast of Donald Trump, right?
What?
Well, I'm just saying.
Not Donald Trump, but, just a roast.
What about Donald Trump?
Comedy roast.
Rick's
It's
obsessed with
everyone
Donald
else's
Trump. Go on.
fault.
Okay, well, good point, Rick. No, I'm just saying, I've gone to sleep with shoes on, and I've woken up with shoes burnt in a fire. On one occasion, Beam took off with my cell phone and his cell phone and passed out at his parents' house, and I looked in his car, and I could see my cell phone in there, and I'm like, I was knocking on his door, but he wouldn't answer. And I thought I could smash his window of his car, but I'm not going to do that. On one occasion, I left my watch at Beam's house, and he sent me taunting voicemails. I was going to pawn it. In college, you guys put shaving cream and sandals on my hands, and a wooden statue in my pants.
Almost killed him that night. I'm joking.
I just
wouldn't. And you put sandals on your hands?
Well, you're a good guy. You're going to be a best man at a wedding, okay? When you make that speech, I will be there to pull your fucking pants down, just so that you can, get me in there, too, all right?
Okay. You're married, aren't you?
Foreboding words from Richard and Mel.
Wilk, you were never that innocent. Do you remember when you played Find the Keys when we were camping? You said, okay, I have a game for everybody. And you took the van keys. You said, find the keys, and threw them into the forest in the middle of the night.
Well,
there was also Find the Flashlight.
We found the keys.
We did. We survived.
Yeah, but, I mean, in my defense, we were sleeping in a goddamn tent.
But, Wilk, you could have spent the night here. I mean, no one was going to give you hot foot during the night. You would have survived.
My cats would have.
It wasn't a hot foot. It's that you threw my shoe in a bonfire while I slept.
I will never forget. Hey, you want to play a game? Yeah. Find the keys. Into the woods.
Oh, shit.
Fuck.
and I'd never put your shoes in any fire.
Yeah, but Ryan, you were there instigating, supporting it. You certainly didn't give me a spare pair of shoes the next day.
There was a diaspora, though. I mean, Beam left. Wilk hardly sees him anymore. He hardly sees us. So there is like a separation going on. It's a whole process.
I see you way more in the last few years, Rick, than I did in the previous 30. So I see you enough. I see you guys enough, and I'll see you again. It'll be great. But yeah, no, I this morning, I just driving down there and driving back. I want to do a year-end trip down there for sure, and then,
All right. Well, now that we've got a little group history there, why don't we move into the production of this movie? Wilk, you were kind of looking into this. What obstacles did Clive Barker face having to be a director? He didn't have any directing experience before this, right?
He had about as much directing experience as you and I have. He's made some student films in college. He knows his way around. He's a smart guy. But his main goal when he went into the studio was he wanted to make sure that his vision was kept up. That he wanted to make sure the movie was made in a good way. It wasn't sold down the river. So he goes in there and he tries to overstate his positions, argues that he should direct the movie, thinking, well, they're not going to let me direct it, but they'll probably let me choose a director of my choice. Well, it turns out he's really persuasive, and they let him direct the movie. And so he leaves there thinking, okay, well, I don't know about directing, but I can get a book at the library about how to direct movies. And he goes to the library, and all the books about directing are checked out, and he's like, I'm fucked. So he, and that's a true story. He really went to the library to check out a book on how to direct the movie, and they were all gone. And he thought he was up Schitt's Creek, which I love everything about that.
His whole life is up Schitt's Creek.
What he did was he chose some of the best people in the industry, as well as some personal friends, to work the movie with him. The composer, which I think is a big part of the movie. I just blanked on the name. God damn it! Who is the composer, Laura? Okay, the composer is a famous horror composer, but this is one of his first movies. He did the score for...
He didn't want to use that composer at first, right? He wanted to use a band called Coil, and I think the studio wouldn't let him. And they suggested, like you said, someone who had done films already.
Yeah, well, and he's gone on to do, like, so many other films. I mean, he actually worked on Candyman in the future. He did Nightmare on Elm Street. He's done a lot of very famous horror movie scores, and I think the music played a big part. The special effects people were top-notch, as were the makeup people, and he had a lot of technical help on the set. And they had a very small budget, but they didn't need a huge budget because they shot most of it in one house. They only had one or two scenes that were, two scenes that were outside of the house, 3 if you count the opening one. Christopher Young, that was the composer. And he has done everything since then. He's very accomplished. But amongst those people, so they spent a lot of money on makeup. They did a very good job of the sets they had, and he altered the story a little bit to make it more cinematic, which we can talk about at the end. But it just sounds like it was a rip-roaring production. And another funny story is the actor that played Pinhead. He was actually hoping to be a mover. Doug Bradley. Doug Bradley had never had a major role in a movie before, but he was a buddy of Clive Barker's from college. And he drew straws, and literally drew the short straw, so he had to be Pinhead, and he didn't want to sit through the makeup.
Yeah, but they didn't have some obese guy draw a straw, right? I mean,
what's that?
They didn't have some obese dude just, like, draw a straw like it was like a random selection.
I'm not sure what the body weight of the person
the guy
is
had to
straws.
Wilk, just answer the question.
The guy had to have been on his way to fucking being anorexic, okay?
What?
All the guys partaking in the straw drawing.
The guy that played Frank was an anorexic.
What?
He was, anyway, sorry.
Never mind.
No, he and Oliver Parker were buddies. Oliver Parker played the mover. Doug Bradley played Pinhead. And Doug Bradley wanted to play the part of the mover who had one scene in the movie, but he had a couple of lines, because he wanted his face to get out there. He didn't want to be buried in makeup and didn't want to sit in makeup, but as a result, Doug Bradley had a very long career playing Pinhead and other parts in horror movies. So
And the sequels and stuff.
and I don't know what his body weight was.
Well, I'm talking about the skeletal version of Frank. They found like the skinniest guy they could find, and that was how they worked the special effects. They just
Oh yeah,
found
different
it
actor,
really-
yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
That's where the misunderstanding is. Thank you, Beam.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry, dude. You fixed it.
There was actually something Wilk said I wanted to touch on.
Go ahead.
He mentioned the fact that it was shot in a house. And that was like a very specific, like, thematic effect that he was going for. He was shooting for domestic horror as opposed to, outside running around with the knife, once again, like the classic 80s horror movies. He wanted
like Jason
something-
and Freddy.
He wanted something that represented, like, the domestic horror, the family life horror, the horror of, like, common America, sort of, he shot that deliberately in that way, and I think it actually saved them money by accident.
Yeah,
It was, like, a
It was
specific-
effective too. So, to me, the makeup was great, the effects were great, but the real horror to me was the thought that you're married to someone who's going out there and just betraying you, murdering people in a bar, fucking your brother.
Domestic
Those are
horror.
all bad things.
Bad wife.
Bad wife.
Wilk, were you saying this, or Rick, were you saying this in the pre-production meeting, that this was originally shot with like English accents, and then they had to redub it with non-English accents?
Yeah, I just found it curious that it ended up being like an American dialogue of English. Dialect. Sorry. It's all pointed to the United States. I mean, shit, this movie was banned in the United Kingdom, Canada, but America accepted it with the least amount of, cuts. Everyone censored this movie, including the United States. But the United States was the first to embrace this movie, and it was pointed to America from the United Kingdom. Here you have, like, a extremely gory movie that just repulses some people, and it was aimed at America. This is the kind of shit that happens all the time. Everyone is exporting their shit to America, okay? And I'm
And
only
we're tired of it.
I'm only saying it from the conservative perspective, okay? Like, this will twist minds, and it will, I saw the entire interview with Clive Barker on that British television show. People were asking him,
Oh God!
Did you mean to influence people to?
Did you read the comments on there? By the way,
Oh God, it was horrible.
It was amazing.
Means influence people to what?
Ryan found this obscure video that has 11,000 views on YouTube, where these college kids were asking questions, saying,
It was like right after Hellraiser
"Do you
came
feel
out.
responsible for the murders that happened in some British massacre?" It's complete nonsense.
They're all vindictive.
Right.
They hated. They were seething at Clive Barker as he was sitting there answering their questions.
But he was very eloquent in his
And he
responses.
was.
and witty.
Yeah, he was nonchalant, and he was extremely relaxed
Yeah.
because he had his head on, and a lot of these kids didn't. I mean, they're just kind of products of Protestant religion, wherever the hell they are, like around Liverpool or whatever the fuck.
I think that show is called Open for Question, and it's on YouTube. I'll put a link in the show notes if anyone wants to check it
the
out.
host
It's
of the
interesting.
show was especially seething, though. It was crazy just watching it. It's just kind of like British brainwash.
But interesting to see Clive Barker so young and how different he looks now.
Yeah. Oh my God. Huge transition. I already kind of talked about that, though.
Wilk, did he go on to direct a lot more films after this one?
No, he directed a few, and he produced a few, but no, he didn't. He directed Lord of Illusions. That was his other really big movie after this, which I enjoyed the hell out of. I think he was a good director, but it's just not something he wants to devote a lot of time to. It wasn't for lack of opportunity. He just had other projects to pursue for him.
Yeah, we were talking about this. I think he, like you said, I don't know if he's like kind of an ideas man. He's got a lot of interest with writing and painting and directing it. And I saw or heard him make comments that, like, it's a lot for someone to direct a movie because they got to dedicate like a year and a half of their life to be involved with that, when he could go write a book or do something else. And he kind of backed off and started doing some production of movies. And I think, Rick, you were mentioning that what he did, one he produced was it Gods and Monsters?
Yeah, Gods and Monsters is like almost a reflection on his own life, and he chose to produce this movie. He the main character of the movie is Ian McKellen, Gandalf. But he was an openly gay, actor, in the public for quite a long time, as far as I understand. But the movie itself is about a director who basically self-destructs, and he, I just think it's almost like a reflection on himself, almost. I mean, he is very Clive Barker. He's a genius. Everything he does is for good reasons, for a purpose, I think. But I also think that about a lot of things, and some things are just random shit that I just don't understand as random shit. But I think it was almost a reflectionary piece, on his own kind of persona.
Wilk, anything else you got about the production of this movie?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it was a fun movie. I mean, they really spent a lot of money on the practical effects. They hold up today. I mean, it's just fun to watch it. There's no CGI. You can tell it's a labor of love. They had fun making it. I don't know. I love movies like this.
Were you saying that they spent most of their budget on the special effects?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is one story I did want to mention. There's a big debate between him and the head cinematographer if they wanted to show the Cenobites in their full glory and proper lighting in the hospital scene. There's a scene in a hospital in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And they were going back and forth. Well, should we have dim lights so you can kind of see them in the shadows, kind of do this creepy aesthetic, or just have them come out there in an almost pornographic display, nothing left to imagination? Will the makeup hold up? And so Clive Barker had to make the call, and he said, yeah, let's put them in full light. That's where the money went. And it did hold up. I mean, that was just great makeup. I mean, from the teeth chatterer to Butterball to, the woman, as they call her, and Pinhead, the female. Yeah, the female. It worked out well.
Yeah. All right, well then let's get into the movie portion. So for the movie portion, we're going to turn to Rick. And Rick, you're going to give us, I don't know if you're going to give us a synopsis of the movie so much as give us...
Not at all.
Kind of like, how was the movie different than the book? What are the main differences?
Well, the movie embellished the gore. They put so much money into the gore, it was just kind of unbelievable. I guess that's the way that you affect people in that medium, as opposed to his written word.
Yes. Wasn't that gory?
I thought it was gory as shit. I mean, it had close-ups of the hooks kind of like going into the flesh. I mean, come on.
Is that gory, though?
What
That's
shows
true.
that?
No, it was pretty good.
Holy
and
shit.
he did
For that
They
time
tore that guy apart at the end. Holy cow.
I guess
suck the blood out of people. And...
No, Laura just wants to be, are we that jaded? I guess I am. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the effects do hold up, but they aren't as I don't know.
I'm guessing B may have seen this. Have you guys ever seen the movie Martyrs?
No.
Okay,
No.
all of that gore, though, does support the book, because the book actually, it conceives of this imagery of the guy kind of developing his body, not having his skin yet, and then murdering his own brother through his wife, and he puts his brother's skin on. And that's just, okay, the book made that clear, okay?
Well, but what plot differences in the movie are different than the book?
The plot differences?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Well, I thought Lisa was...
Lisa
kind of
Simpson.
Like, she was a... From what I could tell, she was a neighbor. All right, Ryan?
Okay, hold on. So...
Back to Lisa.
Back to Lisa Simpson. So Roy, they changed for I don't know why they do shit like this. They changed Roy Cotton's name to Larry. That's not a big deal. But the character of Kirsty, who we talked about in the last movie, or in the last episode a lot, is changed from a friend of Rory's, or Larry, to his daughter from a previous marriage.
Which makes sense from a simplistic story.
Right, but which also kind of kills the whole her being a sinner.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, yeah, good point.
And they also cut out the whole scene where the brother, Frank, dialogues with the Cenobites, because the Cenobites give him a choice. They absolutely give him a choice in the book early on.
Yeah, at the beginning, there's more of the Cenobites in the book.
Where they say, you can do this, but if there's no going back.
Well, what it cuts out also is that they don't really explain the backstory of why Frank was looking for this box.
Yeah,
they don't go into a lot. I mean, you kind of piece it together through the movie, but they don't really. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of.
You definitely piece it together in the movie.
I think by the end you do, but I think in the beginning, it's like in the movie they start at a later point than the book started.
Right.
But again, it almost seems like here's my big problem with the movie, and it's a very minor problem, I guess. But it seems like it was all happenstance. Like if you open the box and you're fucked. And the book, I felt like, and I guess there, the people that are actually seeking the box out deserve the fate that they get, and they're given a choice to back away.
Well, you know what was different to me, in the movie, in the book,
Kirsty.
It's real clear that Frank is he's seeking this higher plane of pleasure, and then that's why he's seeking out the box. And in the movie, I remember the first I mean I've seen it a million times, but I thought is he trying to summon demons? You know what I mean? It was
yeah they don't really go through.
It was kind of why did he
all.
look for the box? It wasn't totally...
but they do have a narration by him where he kind of saying what
right. He does eventually kind of explain it.
Beam, the Cenobites in the movie are kind of different than the book. Did you pick up on that? I mean,
yeah, I think they were glorified. Like Rick was saying, it's just the nature of the medium. You have to create this horror element and make it stick, I think. I think they tried to do that, and it came off. I mean, it added a lot of popularity to the whole story.
Did you think there's more of the Cenobites in the movie than there is in the book?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you don't even know who Pinhead really is in the book. I mean, do they even mention him?
I don't think by name.
I don't think by name.
They described him well, and he reflected well in the movie. It was just the other characters who didn't reflect.
But in the book, Pinhead is described as genderless, and in the movie, he looks more male and he has a deep voice. And in the book, they say he's got almost a feminine voice.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
They did.
Right. It would have been cool if they had a voiceover in the movie.
Like a young girl or something. That was actually creepy.
If he had a voiceover, good voiceover, it would have been awesome. That might have been hilarious,
though.
Yeah.
Like a chipmunk.
But I feel like Pinhead was more a result of the movie. Like the aura, the mystique of Pinhead is more a result of the movie than the book.
I agree wholeheartedly with you. And I think, have you guys ever done anything theatrical where you had the makeup on and you kind of assume the role? I mean, if you're dressed up, if you're spending 8 hours of makeup and you got needles sticking out of every inch of your face, you're going to assume that role too. And he did kind of take.
Well, that was that one Halloween party.
It's what people grab though. People from just watching a trailer of that movie, and people sort of like immortalize the image of a guy with a freaking cornrow of pins in his freaking face and his scalp. It's just. It's all symbolism.
If you ask anyone between the age of 30 and 60 to name iconic horror villains, Pinhead's got to be in the top 5.
Right. It's all symbology. Clive Barker is a master of it,
Yeah, but it's also the time, too. I mean, when you look at the horror movies that were popular back then,
get into that.
Large figures. You had, Jason, you had Michael,
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
Freddy.
I mean, Chuck,
Freddy, Jason,
Chucky,
Michael Pinhead.
They all,
Freddy gave me nightmares.
And the Leprechaun.
So they...
Beam, how does this movie compare to the other, Freddy Krueger's and Jason and stuff at that time? I mean, how does this movie compare to those?
I think it's a huge twist on themes. When you look at Freddy, and I mean, Freddy had those terrible puns, and he was just cheesy, and
that was fucking
cut
sweet,
people.
though.
And then then Jason would chop up the teenage girls in the forest, and it was all very cookie cutter stuff. And then all of a sudden, you have these guys in black leather with hooks in their faces, talking this esoteric sort of
like gods.
You called us and we came. There was no rhyme or reason to it, and they don't give any background, which is almost the creepiest part of it. They really don't tell you who these things are or what their purpose is. They're just there to basically fuck you up.
Well, isn't that similar to Jason? Doesn't Jason have not a lot of background?
Well, no,
later?
They go into the childhood, and he's I don't remember those movies too clearly, but he drowned in the lake, and then he came back as the ghost, and the whole thing with his mom. But Pinhead's just this fucking thing that came out of the wall, and he's gonna fucking put hooks through you,
Well, what about you and Laura? I mean, how do you feel about Hellraiser compared to the other contemporary movies at that time?
Yeah, I always felt like Hellraiser, as a kid watching these movies, I always felt like Hellraiser was a little more sophisticated, and it was because of the Cenobites. They weren't these slashers who were like Freddy making jokes, or Jason and Michael Myers who didn't talk at all.
It was that shark analogy is perfect. Right. It's perfect because he had the black eyes, totally emotionless, just I'm here because you called me, and I'm going to do what I do, and that's it. There's no room for negotiation.
Well, Clive Barker's our dad's age. He's in his late 60s. And my dad had this collection of comics that I would read over and over as a kid. And he had about 20 Creepshow comics where it was just horror tales that all kind of followed the exact same pattern in this movie. Tales from the Dark Side, Creepshow. If you ever watched those serials from the 80s, that's what this movie always invoked in me. It was a very concise tale. Called a morality tale, but it had that same kind of satisfaction of an ending where the people are evil, they get what's coming to them, and it's creepy, and it kind of has this 1950s comic book feel to it that I enjoyed.
It wraps it up well.
Yeah,
you guys keep talking about this shark analogy to the Cenobites, and I have to say this: it's a little off topic. Any of you ever seen The Grizzly Man? It's a documentary film.
Yes, I have.
It's directed by I think it's Herzog Warner, and it's the true story of this guy who used to go up to I forget some national park and live among the grizzly bears every year, and eventually the guy dies and he's eaten by the bears, him and his girlfriend. Spoiler alert. And Herzog Warner, I heard an interview recently where he's talking about his career, and he's talking about that movie that he put together. And this guy would go up to this park every year, and he would interact with these bears. And he had a love for these bears, and he claimed he was protecting these bears and all that. And it's kind of controversial. The park rangers did not like what he was doing. Because
did you know his death is caught on audio?
Yes.
And his girlfriend
has horrible. Yeah, and his girlfriend, too.
Horrible. But the comment that I'm thinking about right now is the comment by Herzog Warner, who said he looked at all the footage that the guy had of all the bears, and he never saw an emotion in the bear's face like a human emotion. All he saw was just a neutral,
Right.
dead look. Like the bear, those bears, they didn't care about you.
Right.
Like you were just like, they would just kill you because they didn't like feel bad about killing you or feel good about killing you.
They
would just
in
kill
the
you.
moment, in
He
the
thought
passion.
the bears were bonded to him, but they were really
Yeah.
just bears.
Yeah, and so that's what makes me think about
Yeah.
Pinhead and the Cenobites. Like they don't care.
Right. They don't really have human emotion, I don't think,
Yeah,
Agents of nature.
which is terrifying.
yeah.
It is, and it's funny the contrast between that and the people in the story, because they all have their problems and their motives and their emotions, and they're trying to do these things for these people that they love, and then the Cenobites walk in and they don't care about any of it. It's
Right.
it is terrifying because these people are struggling, even if they're misguided, they're struggling, to get where they want to be, and the Cenobites walk in and it's like nothing to them. None
Right.
of it.
Well, they're all trying to do something for somebody that they think they love. Well, except for Frank. He's just looking out for himself.
Yeah.
Frank's got a good motivation though too.
Frank only cares about Frank.
He does. But all those other, like Freddy and Jason, and those are all revenge based. And the Cenobites, they're not out for revenge,
Yeah.
which is almost scarier.
Well, and again, I like Beam's analogy a lot,
Yeah, that was great.
or insight, I guess, not even an analogy, that about the Catholic Church and the Cenobites.
The
being
arbitrary
functional.
rules. That's
Oh yeah, it's well, he must have had a troubled childhood growing up in that environment, and he was very religious as a kid, and he wanted to be accepted into this, this mythology, but he was cursed with his homosexuality, and I think that the arbitrary rules of the church going against his nature sort of fed into this story, and in the Cenobites, like they don't care about anybody's nature, they don't care about what anybody wants, they have their rules, and they're going to force you to live by them, and it's interesting.
Now, in the book, the Cenobites have a leader called the Engineer, we talked about. He's almost just like a glowing light. In this movie, there is like the 4 traditional Cenobites. You got Pinhead, you got the woman, you got the Butterball, everyone's favorite, and the Gasher. But they do have a 5th, like a monster that I guess, I don't know if it is the Engineer or not, that actual like physical looking monster. What did you guys think? That's like chasing people down the hall.
Do you think it is the Engineer, or is it? That was almost like a weak point.
You know what?
The effect was not great.
I almost felt like it was like an alternative dimension, not necessarily where the Cenobites were from. Like she just happened to walk into like a different dimension of hell, and this creature was there. But it came into the house later too, so maybe I'm wrong on that one.
But it seemed like a creature, like you said. It didn't seem like it had a
Right. It didn't seem
intelligence about
No, it didn't seem all kind of.
It was like their pet
articulate
dog or
like the
something.
other ones.
barking.
Sentinel or
Like,
Guardian
probably
or
that's what's
something.
scary was just the chilling lines they would say, the ones that would talk. They were clearly, they had some essence of humanity in them, and they were indifferent to the
But it was only
suffering
it
they
was,
were going to
it
endure.
was only Pinhead who talked, right? I mean, the others
No.
really didn't.
Well, the female one.
oh yeah, she
talked.
did talk too.
The
Right.
Chatterer
She
chattered.
was
The
scary.
chattered.
He's like,
Yeah, he's
That was
That was,
creepy.
that was crazy.
Yeah, but they invoked emotions at the very least. Even Butterball, when they were smiling and I mean, they were.
I have a question about Butterball. Why is Butterball wearing sunglasses? By the way, awesome.
Because
You know why?
his
Because-
eyes were torn out, I
Well,
believe. Like his
so
eyes
why does
were
he
No,
need
no,
sunglasses?
he's a homebody. Like he sits on his couch, he watches television, he cannot see any kind of like other light than his television. His
well, I feel like
television.
his sunglasses fall off at the end, though.
They
don't
do.
They do.
And his
They do.
eyes are like sewed shut.
They were there clearly for the reveal, guys. It was just because
Because they didn't want you to see those creepy sewed shut eyes.
Yeah.
At the end.
The sunglasses really did look awesome.
They,
They're a little
they did a
distracting.
good job in the chatter, though. His eyes were pretty much like tethered to the back of his head.
Yeah, he's the creepiest looking, in my opinion.
What
God,
about
yeah.
that vagrant, like bum kind of character? Was he the Engineer who's like stalking her?
I think so.
You think so?
I guess he could have been. Yeah.
That was
So
weird.
what was the engineer's purpose, Ryan? I mean, what do you think the engineer actually did?
I feel like the Engineer was the leader, and he was like in charge of the
I don't think
quote-unquote
so.
monastery.
I think he would
where
set
the
up
Cenobites
all
are
the
from.
torture mechanisms and stuff.
He's what?
He would set up all the mechanisms for like the final ritual of destroying the fucking physical body.
I
Right,
think.
because at the end he turns into a demon.
But I think the Engineer's job was to make sure the box stayed in
right,
circulation.
and he did.
Yeah, he did. And that's
fished it out.
I guess the Engineer in the book and the movie.
Well, he didn't give it back to her, but he took
Yeah.
it back to the Chinese guy in the movie.
He made sure it wasn't thrown in the ocean or
Right.
something.
The homeless man is the engineer in the movie.
I don't know. I
Wasn't
wonder.
it Pinhead at some point who says, we'll call the engineer if we need to, or something like that? Or was it?
I don't remember. Did he say that in the movie? I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like the Engineer was back at the monastery in the other dimension where they're from, who's in charge of everything. Like Rick
don't
said,
think
maybe in charge of the torture and stuff. But I feel like he is their leader. That's
I agree. That's what I thought. That's what I took from it. I don't know.
Right.
Engineer is not that authoritarian, though. They take a lot more orders than they give.
I feel like the engineer's just there to kind of like, he's in a different plane. Like, he wants to make sure the Cenobites get fed, you know?
So maybe the engineer was just utilizing the bum, but the bum wasn't really the engineer. I mean, they did have, when Julia got her end in the movie, there is, I think, glowing lights that overtake her physically, right? Like in the book.
Were there?
I was looking for it. I didn't see it, man.
Oh, I thought
she
saw
got, like, dried up.
Yeah.
What about that dragon thing at the end?
That was the bum, wasn't it? Didn't the bum
that was the homeless guy. Yeah, he went into the fire, he got the box, and then he turned into a dragon.
There was some great
CGI. Thing and flew away.
Yeah, not to belabor, but the whole point of the homeless guy was he brought the box back to the source to make sure it would stay in circulation, which is what the engineer did. Yeah. So whether he's the engineer or not, he had the same function, I guess.
Right.
The idea is, I mean, I think what Clive was trying to pull off there...
It would have been hard to do the whole glowing light thing.
Did you think it was cheesy when there's that skeletal dragon appeared?
I thought it was a little bit cheesy.
Yeah, that was a weak point.
It was a little too, like, clean. Like, we need to end this somehow. I don't know how. Let's put a dragon in there and send the box to the Chinese guy. Like, it just seemed like a very,
I think a disembodied head that couldn't talking would have been creepier, but they probably couldn't have put...
They already outdone themselves at that point, though.
They hold up, but they are dated at the same time. I mean, they're good.
I think it's timeless. I think it's timeless. They're not dated. It was so well done.
As far as, like, the skin looks like Play-Doh.
At first, like from the floor.
Yeah.
It was filmed in reverse, but it's really
it looks like an insect coming out of the floor at first.
It looked like they spent half their budget on that scene.
I bet they did. I bet that part just took forever.
I like the beating heart they made too. That was all.
Yeah. It was really.
It was pretty good.
Impressive.
Yeah, for a movie of that time.
So if you remove the skeletal dragon and the other monster that's coming down the hallway, which actually I read on IMDb that in one of those scenes you can see the wheels for that monster as they're wheeling it down the hallway.
Yeah, the monster was.
If you took those two monsters, those two traditional monsters out, those creatures, how is the movie
periodic,
better?
Like humping, like as he went forward.
Well, I mean, Ryan, you bring up a good point though, because what is the scariest part about the movie? Is it the monsters or is it the humans?
The human aspect of the Cenobites is more scary than the monster.
You're right. I agree. And so I think humanity, I mean, like, the special effects are nice, they're great, but, like, they're not needed. It's like a bonus. Because to me, the creepiest thing in the movie is this woman going out and seducing men and smashing their skulls with a hammer.
For some guy she slept with one time who's her husband's brother, I mean, that's unsettling.
Hey, Frank Cotton is a good lay. Let's not argue that point.
Frank has tact.
He was hot. You gotta admit, he was hot.
He's got timing.
And then again,
but I mean, I like those creatures for the other dimensional point. They felt like they made the world of the Cenobites bigger by having those creatures there.
Yeah.
But that to me, that's the
Cenobites. Like, you don't know anything about them. You know everything about the characters, but it's all about the Cenobites just because of the way they look and the way that they're described. It's all about symbology. It's crazy. Like everyone's focus here is on the Cenobites, but the story and the book were more about you knew everything about the actual players in the world.
The title, The Hellbound Heart, it's implying these people are going to hell for what they're doing.
But the Cenobites, they're just so freaking like genuine. It's like it's a black hole for attention. They're just.
And that's part of the artistry
hypnotized.
that Clive Barker had. I mean, he took these monsters and created, this black leather and the piercings and all the symmetrical wounds, and he went for the beautiful grotesque, and he did that like throughout like all of his books and paintings and even like video games. He directed a lot of video games like later on, and he's a very artistic guy, and I think that gave a lot of quality to what he was doing.
Yeah, he's probably a very visual artist.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of visual, what was up with Kirsty's boyfriend in this movie? Because he was completely unnecessary. I mean, nothing did matter. And one of my favorite parts of the movie at the end is like when he tries to help her solve the box, she's like, "Give it to me."
Oh yeah,
she smacks him out of the way.
Was that Clive Barker's boyfriend?
She smacks him.
I love how
that was Clive Barker himself when he had a girlfriend.
He didn't even die, which is odd.
He didn't change the storyline at all.
I love when he's at dinner and right in front of her dad, he's like, "Why don't you lay down then?" Who the hell says that in front of like their girlfriend's dad? That was amazing.
Why don't you lay down then?
Bat an eye. Like my father-in-law would have punched me in the face if I said that to my wife when we were dating. It was amazing.
There is a guy in the book that likes her, but then I think nothing comes of it.
Oh, really?
He kind of fizzles out. I don't think there's much to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. They did kind of create that element, because he even comes to the hospital, right?
Yeah, he does.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't
That's a
help
terrible
or
character.
change the storyline in any kind of way.
He has no purpose
But
whatsoever.
He's just there.
The changes that Barker made to the film, maybe they create problem a little bit with the Kirsty character, but by making her the daughter, it does make it more domestic. And by making the, and creating that conflict between her and the evil stepmom, I feel like they were smart changes. And the movie is, this is a rare occasion where the movie could be better than the book.
It might be, actually, yeah. It really might be. He went farther with the Cenobites, and he enhanced the whole domestic horror.
I think the movie had a way bigger impression on popular culture than the book did, for sure,
Well, the vision of those Cenobites, that's pretty...
Yeah, I mean, the impact was clearly bigger in the movie, I think. I mean, the novella was a cool, short story, but, I don't know. People aren't going to remember it for the rest of their life.
The novella just was actually... It originally came out, I think, in a collection, right? A collection of...
I was trying to figure that... It might have been in Books of Blood, Volume 4 or 5 or something.
No, I think it was Night Visions, and I think it was edited by George R.R. Martin.
And it has an amazing painting on the cover, the original, too. It's
Look that up.
How do you say that word? It's like an amalgam?
Amalgarism?
Yeah, it's like the painting itself, when you flip it upside down, has a totally different image than it... You'll have to link it maybe
Holy
to
crap, you're right.
You'll have to link it to your...
no way!
To your podcast. The painting is absolutely amazing.
It's a freaking face.
In some ways, he's a better painter than writer.
So that's his artwork on the cover.
He might be a better director.
Is that what you're saying, Beam?
Yeah, he painted that.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Look at...
What?
There's the face.
Oh, wow.
And then...
Oh, wow. I'll put the picture of the cover art on the website.
With something like that, though, really intrigued something like Disney.
Here.
If you could only just kind of make it click, make it succinct, and not just create some complicated 24-island world. What the hell is that?
It's a moth.
Yeah, it pissed Disney off. He was just embellishing in his own art.
This story came out originally in Night Visions 3, which was a collection of short stories, but I think there was other authors in it, and I believe, I'm going to check right now, I think this was...
I actually have a first edition of his that I found at an estate sale.
This was edited by George. This was
old books that I have.
Edited by George R. Martin, and included Lisa Tuttle and Ramsey Campbell.
We've unearthed some news for all of you podcasters.
Well, this is news from 1986. Okay, does anyone else have anything else about the movie?
Ryan, did you feel that the whole sort of male-female role that Cenobites played? Did you feel that was kind of faithful to the Catholic faith, which is Clive Barker's religion?
I don't understand your question. Was it faithful to the Catholic faith?
Yeah, was it faithful to Catholic religion?
The male-female role of the Cenobites?
Yeah, this asexual sort of persona that...
Well, that's interesting because, I guess you could kind of relate that to religious orders in the Catholic Church, be it brothers or sisters.
Brothers.
Or priests. Because they take vows of celibacy, and so... They're supposed to not be sexual.
Yeah.
So, I can see that relation. Is that what you're getting at?
I think you're hitting the nail right on the head.
Go on with that.
That's all.
Oh, okay.
So much anger.
And, okay, does anyone else have anything else they want to talk about with this movie? Okay, great. We're going to go around the horn. Everyone's going to give their final thoughts and star rating on the movie. Rick, let's go to you. How many stars do you give this movie, and any final comments you want to make about the movie itself?
Okay, in my psyche, there are two polar opposites. I think in everyone else's psyches, there are probably as well. I live on each end, okay?
I agree.
The conservative side of me just says, screw this movie. This is just, to create reaction, and, but the liberal side of me says, oh my God, this is beauty. And I think I'm going to just succumb to my liberal side and say this movie deserves 5 stars just because it's kind of like one of a kind. And nothing like this has been ever done before in the history of movie making.
How many stars?
5.
5 stars! Whoa. You are a true hierophant of the member of the Gash. Beam. How many stars and any final comments?
I would give it probably 4 stars. I thought some of the acting wasn't the best, but I love Clive Barker. I've followed his books and movies over the years, and I think he's a genius. I almost feel like it never quite comes off, though. It's hard to explain. Do I have a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. My thought on Clive Barker is that he is brilliant, but he never quite translates his brilliance into like a palatable, like start to finish story. Like there's just some disconnect there. There's a lot of imagery and a lot of depth, but it just never really hits home. Like you never really care about any of these people because
hits home. The guy gets like teared apart.
Oh, Rick, your turn's over.
Come on,
the main characters are like kind of assholes, you know.
I'm defending my 5 stars.
I know it. Yeah, it's a classic. I mean, it probably deserves 5 stars, but I always felt like he could have done better. Like I always waited for that home run, you know, because I loved him for so long when I was younger, and it just never came off. And if you try to read it now, it misses a beat here and there, and it's not Stephen King, basically.
Okay, fair enough. Wilk, let's go to you. How many stars and any final comments you got in the movie?
I'd give it 4.5 stars. I mean, it's not Jaws, but it's a very good movie, and it's very enjoyable. It's better than the book, which I gave 4 stars to. So it's definitely worth checking out. It's a great, very watchable film, and I mean, if you're, I can understand if you're like really down on Trump, you might not like it, but you know, people that are normal and decent will probably enjoy it or feel something.
Hey, well, I'm glad you were able to tie in sharks and Donald Trump back to this. Laura, let's go to you. Any final comments on the movie and your star rating out of 5?
You know, I don't know. It's just such a classic. I mean, there's things that could have been done better in it, but I just love it so much. It's so, I don't know. It was like burned into my brain as such a young kid, and I don't know. I don't want to. God damn it, Dave. I don't want to give you the same rating as you. So I'm going to say
4.25.
God, that's what I was going to say. I would say 4 3/4.
Oh.
It could have been better, but it's at the same time it's just such a classic. I don't know.
No,
I love it. It's hard to not give it 5
Sorry,
stars.
I lowered everybody's ratings.
We give it 5 stars though.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to give this. I'm going to follow Beam, and I'm going to give this 4 stars. I don't think it's perfect, but I do think it's better than the book.
I'm changing mine to 5 stars.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Good.
I fucking love Clive Barker. I always have.
It really.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel
great.
like people that love Donald Trump don't understand this movie, and you know, people that like have a soul understand what this movie means. So I can get where Ryan's coming from. I mean, he wants to build a wall and keep all the Cenobites out of the country. I understand that, but I mean, I don't. I think we need to not embrace that hatred of Cenobites. Because they're from Mexico, I assume, right? They're clearly Mexican.
If I can continue.
They're just doing their jobs.
If I can continue.
And
if I can continue.
Yeah, lots of puzzle boxes in Mexico. Tijuana's
so,
full of them.
I am going to give this 4 stars. I don't think it's perfect.
Racist bastard.
I think it's great, and I definitely recommend it. And I also wanted to reflect that I like the movie.
You think it's great? Should we keep America
it's
great?
It's probably, and I also want to reflect that I feel that this is better than the book. It's one of the rare instances where I think the movie is better than the book.
That's the word you choose, huh?
So, those are my final comments, and on that note, I'm going to invite everyone to visit our website at nodeodorant.com. I have the guys write show notes about the show, so you can read what they say about the show, and any you can find any kind of like links and stuff that we might mention on the episodes. And then you can follow our podcast and subscribe to it on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, Google Play, all over the internet. We have a YouTube channel. We're on Facebook. We have a Twitter account. So just visit us at nodeodorant.com and you can find out more about us. Tune in next month when we are actually going to be reading and covering The Man in the High Castle, which came out in 1962 and was written by Philip K. Dick, who's popular on this show.
That's going to be a good one.
Love that
An
guy.
Amazon series was released on this
Dick.
book that came out in 2015. We're going to cover Series 1, which was created by Frank Spotnitz, and I think there was Alexa Davalos.
Hey, so, just to be clear, Ryan, so wait, we're going to watch, how many episodes is season 1, or roughly? It's the first season, right?
We're going to watch this just season 1. I think there is a second season, right?
Have you watched that yet or not?
No. So, tune in next month when we cover that, and... Okay, on that note, I will invite everyone to say good night and farewell. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
For more information on the topics discussed in this episode, or to read our show notes and find us on social media, visit nodeodorant.com. For more information on Ryan Sean O'Reilly and his various works of fiction, visit ryanseanoreilly.com. For more information on David Wilkinson, visit drycracker.com. For more information on Richard Bell, check out his profile at goodreads.com. The theme music for this podcast was written by John Doyle from the band I Decline. You can visit him at i-decline.com. Voiceover for this podcast was provided by me, Margaret O'Reilly. Well, that concludes our episode. We hope you've learned a lot. Again, thanks for listening to our show. And always, always remember, there is no deodorant in outer space.
I'm going to try hitting record. Check. Ryan, Beam, let's hear something from you.
Check. Can you
Rick,
hear me?
let's hear something from you, Rick.
To the fucking bone, you're a lame-o. Okay. To the marrow.
Beam, talk a little louder.
Lame-o soup
right.
with some Ryan's marrow.
So are we ready to do this?
Do it to me one more time. One just wasn't enough.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything else about the movie? Because I have something, if no one's else got anything else. Okay, so I kind of created like a little game. I don't think this is going to go over very well because I think everyone knows the answers. But I kind of came up with like a dozen questions, and maybe I'll just go around the horn and ask everyone a question, and you can
It's always got to be about your agenda, Ryan. Jesus Christ.
Oh, is there something you wanted to talk about, Rick? Go ahead.
That's your question, Rick.
I want to play your game.
Let's play the game.
Okay, because
come on, Jigsaw.
Okay, it's just a basic trivia game, and it's going to be just Cenobite trivia. So you probably all know the answers, but I'll start with Rick since he's a smartass. And we kind of covered this one in the last episode, but what does the word Cenobite mean, Rick?
I have no fucking idea.
Oh, fucking! We talked about it in the last episode.
I know Wilk described it at one moment,
time.
But then like I turned it off. I don't know what the fuck. I did not listen to the definition of Cenobite.
Okay, so I could go to the next person, but maybe I'll just tell the answer and just say there's no point for Rick. Rick, it's no point, and the
There's
answer
no
is
hope for Rick.
It's a member of a communal religious order.
I would not have known that.
Okay, I heard that. Wilk said it.
Of that which
This is your game?
yes, it's Cenobite trivia.
Jesus Christ! That doesn't mean like something
It's
crazy.
trivia, dude. Come on.
It's trivia. All right, what's up your answer? Beam, name the original Cenobites.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
Butterball, Pinhead, what's the female one? The Chatterer and the Hot Chick.
Close. It's called the female. The fourth one is the
Nice.
female. Wilk, I'm going to go to you. Who is the fifth Cenobite?
Fifth.
Paul McCartney?
Ryan O'Reilly. Of course, Ryan is lifting all of this shit from like some kind of website.
Yes, I'm actually.
Ryan, come on, man. This
I'm
is
actually
like-
lift.
I like how Rick is getting all the really hard questions, though. Let's keep that going.
Okay, I'm actually yes. I am getting all these questions from the Hellraiser Wikipedia. Cenobites. Okay, Rick, describe each Cenobite.
Okay, in the movie,
They're all Donald Trump
in the
voters.
movie, or in the book.
Move on.
In the movie or the book.
Either way,
they all love Donald Trump, of course, like you do, Ryan. And in the movie, you've got one that's kind of slothy. I guess she's got some kind of like smoking problem. She's got to open it up.
They deliberately shaped that like a vagina.
Yeah.
And the description is she has a scarification, elaborate scarification to her pubis.
Oh, where did you lift
Did
that
they
from?
show that?
I don't know if they showed that in the movie.
I don't think they did.
You have the Chatterer of.
Okay, Beam, I'll go to you. Next question. Where do the Cenobites reside?
I don't know. In the walls.
In a monastery in hell, which is governed by an abbot.
Okay.
An abbot.
What?
Does he brew ale?
Okay, this is not about the movie or the book. This is about you reading stuff online.
Beam or Wilk.
Yeah.
Wilk. How does one? How does one?
No.
How does one?
Gonna go on
How
all
does
night.
one travel?
Now you're just like reading stuff from like seriously, that's not in the book or the movie. There's no monastery.
Yes,
What the fuck
yes.
are you talking about?
There's they Cenobites claim that they're from like a monastery in like this other plane.
We are all so foggy on the
like, you know,
details.
Maybe it's
Ryan.
not from hell.
This is like the least organic thing you've done. This is like
It's not organic. It's a game show.
You're shooting a vaccine of Twinkies into a plastic bear.
Speaking of
this is not
Twinkies,
organic, I agree with you.
how does one travel to where the Cenobites are?
Yeah,
Will.
Wilk, what's up?
Can you punch him?
Yeah, no, I can't. He's like too far away. I'm too lazy.
What the hell is
There's
going on
too many
here?
wires
Why-
and shit
why
between
is he
him
just-
and I.
What are we doing
I
here?
can throw a stick at him.
I would have punched him if I was close enough.
This is insane.
All right. Hey, you guys don't like the
gave
game?
him
We don't have to play the
I gave
game.
him a precursor punch earlier today, right in the gut.
I'm going to declare the winner.
Let's
the winner
make Ryan
of the
play
game,
the game.
The winner of the game
Is Beam.
Yes.
is B
reading from Wikipedia and
for
asking
returning.
questions about, like, bizarre facts.
Ryan, it's his agenda. It's his fucking podcast, according to him. But you know what? Well, you're right. It's 2 against 1, right? It's 2 fucking against 1.
Yeah, I thought we were doing a good podcast here. Now it's like I'm going to read some weird things on Wikipedia and try and guess the answer. Which Cenobite wasn't circumcised?
No, it's like the most scripted thing, you know. And Ryan's coasting at this point.
Who has a foreskin?
He's coasting for
Hint.
5 fucking minutes,
It could be
and
the
he's
woman.
like,
She would have it in her
he's like
pocket.
the host of Jeopardy. He knows all the answers. He's the smartest fucking man in the room, and
He's a
he's
genius.
putting everyone on the
Someone
spot.
has to ask the questions, you asshole.
Okay, can I play a game where I name Ryan's ex-girlfriend so you try and guess who it is based on the description?
Oh, I'll
Sounds
play.
like we
I'll
don't
play.
have anything else to say about the movie.
Definition.
So why don't we
Definition.
wrap things up
Proof
here?
Well, I mean,
Um,
Ryan, guy, hey, don't ignore me. I'm serious. Have you watched it yet?
Yeah, I answered your question. No, I have not.
No, how
Affirmative.
long is it? How many? For
I don't-
viewers,
I don't
it's
know.
like 10 episodes. 12
I don't know.
episodes?
It's probably like 12.
13 and 3/4.
Has anyone else watched it yet or not?
None of us have.
No, I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
No,
Rick
it's on
doesn't even know what we're
Amazon,
talking about.
I don't
So
either.
I'm going to wrap this up. I
weird, Ryan
had
just
like
ignored it.
all the way
Ryan,
back
why
to
are you trying to talk over Will?
from the forest.
Why is he trying to do that?
Why he does not have any
why,
honor for you
why are
in
you
this
doing that?
argument.
It's weird.
At this
We're like-
moment, Ryan
You
has a
can hear
rod
me.
stuck up his ass. He's trying to wrap up the episode, so he's going through his sort of like
Yeah,
riffs
but
and shit.
people are going to like tune in.
Why
and wanna
are you
know,
holding
like,
that rod?
Hey, maybe we should start watching it now. Like if it's 12 hours and people want to get caught up in. For the
If you want to
episode,
talk
we
about
should
that, we can talk
tell
about
them,
that. I'm just going to wrap
hey,
up
it's
the
kind of
episode
equipment,
here.
It's not like a movie.
So
is it 12 episodes?
I told you I don't know. Look it up, asshole.
Ryan is bending over
I'm
for
not
his
being
own
an
format
asshole
right
here.
now.
It's a fair question.
His own format
I
is
don't
fucking
know.
him up the ass.
Well, just say you don't know.
I said it several times. You can't
fucking
hear me.
him up the ass.
You didn't
he's
say it, you just
frustrated
kept talking.
because no one's
No, I
letting
did
him
getting
finish.
frustrated
answer
'cause
your question. I don't know
He's
how
in
many
like
episodes.
a public shower and it's county jail.
And
What?
he's bent
Wait,
over.
wait.
Showering now?
What is Rick talking about?
There's soap on the ground.
Oh my god!
Someone
guys,
dropped
this is
it.
Weird.
Okay.